All right, we are now live. Welcome to another episode of Keyboard Warriors presented by CrossBonesMMA.com. I am your host, Eddie Law, and returning tonight with me, as always, my boy from Crossbones, Nick Pilecki. How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
And, of course, back a guy who has every opinion possible and is very knowledgeable. It's Fred. How you doing, man?
What's happening, fellas? Thanks for having me back.
Oh, for sure, man. Anytime. So, hopefully we're going to be joined by Justin Huffman sometime soon here. I haven't heard back from him yet, but of course, everyone got back with kind of a long day from work, so we're going to try and get this. Hopefully, he gets on here soon. All right, so let's just get to it here. So, for those who haven't watched this show yet, Keyboard Warriors plays on the stereotype itself. This is like a no holds barred, no censors, not safe for work type of show where we talk about everything, anything, all of it. We talk anything MMA with no PC, no political correctness, no nothing. It's all real all the time. So sit back, grab your beer. I got mine. My Poison's Bud Light tonight, and enjoy the show. Now let's kick it off with it, which is what has been a huge issue in the last couple of days, and I'm calling it Rufus Gate. Back in March, I believe it's March 28th, Dennis Munson Jr. competed in his first amateur kickboxing fight at an event which I believe was run by Rufus Sport and Duke Rufus. Now, we know Duke Rufus and Rufus Sport because they are the home gym for Anthony Pettis. I believe Ben Askren trains there, Sergio Pettis, and all that. So the video of the fight is online. It shows Munson fighting and clearly showing signs of not being okay. And unfortunately, he did not survive that night. He ended up passing just hours later. And oh, hey, what's up, Justin?
Hey, what's up, man?
All right, finally we got joined by we're being joined by Justin Huffman, who is a journalist, a writer, and editor of the MMA section for what's the name of the publication?
Guardian Liberty Voice, GuardianLV.com.
There you go. So check his stuff out. He's also a football guy, which is always always love enjoy talking some football. But we are talking MMA today. So all right, let's kick it off with Fred here. What do you think of this whole thing with Duke Rufus and Dennis Munson Jr. and Doug Rose, Rosana Majunas, and Pat Barry coming out and calling him out for how he runs his gym?
Well, I mean, first off, I'd like to say that it's pretty cool that Rose and them are stepping up and saying something about it. Obviously, if somebody's fucking dying there while shit's going down, something's not going right and something's not being ran right. Like I was saying before we went on air, it feels like a lot of these gyms are trying to hold their own little small promotion things and get their guys fights amongst their gym and stuff. And they're probably just rushing shit, man. It feels like, obviously, this kid probably shouldn't have been fighting. Like I said, I don't think that he died because of the beating he sustained in the ring. So it was more than likely probably something he had coming into the fight that didn't get seen in a clinical or something. And that falls on Duke Rufus to make sure that the right people are there doing that shit before these fucking, even amateur kickboxing shit needs to have proper supervision before these kids compete.
No, for sure. And I mean, here's the what I found weird about this whole thing is the backlash that Rose and Pat Barry are getting right now from a lot of people, and we're talking Rufus Sport people. Duke Rufus himself hasn't come out and said anything against Rose or Pat Barry. He's more like kind of explained that he's very upset about losing someone from his gym and kind of talking about the tragedy and all that. He's not really going against against Rose and Pat Barry really just yet. But it's I don't know, Nick. What do you think about a fighter of, I guess, Rose's popularity coming out and saying something about this?
Well, right now it's perfect timing for her to come out and say it because, one, she just came off, well, didn't just come off, but we just saw her winning on Tough 20, so everyone's looking up Rose, who is this girl, and now seeing that she's talking up against Duke Rufus about this happening is like perfect timing. But it does suck. We can't forget that someone has died because of this, and like Fred said, we can't. Obviously, there was no testing done to see if this guy was able to compete in it, and it just sucks that he has passed away because of it. But it's good and bad because it is perfect timing because Rose is in the spotlight right now.
Yeah. Now, a few things that I've read about it, but because obviously none of us were there, but a few things that have been said about it was that there were same-day weigh-ins. the doctor during, if you watch the video, the doctor is looking at his phone, kind of somewhat half-assed looking at the fighters, and then the ref, it doesn't seem like he's paying attention to the fighter himself, because those refs are trained to look for signs of someone being hurt and not being able to compete. So I don't know, Justin, what's your take on this whole thing, thing that's been going on with that?
It's just improper. It's a frown on the sport, in my opinion, of how these guys run their thing, especially up there at Duke Rufus. I mean, I heard Duke Rufus and his crew, a lot of these guys are known and very well coordinated and affiliated with these officials, with the guys who run these promotions. I mean, you got guys like Anthony Pettis and among others training up there. They got to set an example. They're becoming one of the top camps out there. I mean, I've been looking into Duke Rufus for quite a while. I mean, a lot of other people are too. That place is blowing up. And if there's anybody who should be leading by example, it should be his crew. And these stories, I mean, it sucks, man. It's not a very good thing to hear, especially with all these up-and-comers who are looking up to people like the Rouseys, the McGregors. I mean, those aren't like the George St. Pierre's, stuff like that. It's kind of it's tough. You got stuff like this going on. You got malpractices going on at gyms, and then all of a sudden people are gonna stop going. It may affect that.
Oh, definitely, and absolutely, it will be the case at Rufus Sport anyway. And it's, I mean, it really sucks. I know, like, I don't have kids. I know Fred has a couple kids and everything, and Justin, I think, he does too. But it's as an adult that that has kids, I guess, Fred. What does this tell you about possibly letting your kids go and train MMA at some point?
Well, I'm my 4-year-old. I have all intentions of putting her in a judo class very soon. I guess it just tells you to really do your homework on the gym you put your kid in, man. Talk to the instructors. And I don't know. It's hard. This is a really tricky thing. It's hard to say how long this has been going on. Like you said, or like Justin said, Rufus Sport's starting to really blow up now. Having Anthony Pettis there probably brings in a lot of clinger-ons and a lot of bad guys and a lot of people probably cutting corners and making money. And you know how that shit goes, man. Money brings in a lot of bullshit, scummy fuckwads. So, like, who knows exactly who's at fault? And, maybe Duke Rufus's attention is elsewhere and he's kind of playing the star and got people running the gym that clearly don't know what the fuck they're doing or have other interests at hand. But clearly, as somebody with kids, or even just, if you're a soccer mom, man, and your 15-year-old son that wrestles in high school decides that he wants to try to be a fighter or take Muay Thai, you need to really look at what gyms you're going to. Anybody can not anybody, but anybody with a little bit of money and a slight bit of know-how can pop open a gym and, be doing fucking cray shit in there. And, obviously you want to kind of have a grip on that and make sure, especially if you're sending your children or somebody you love about it there, do your homework, man.
Oh, definitely. But so all right, so Nick, if you are, let's say we hand you the power, and I know this is kind of putting you in a spot a little bit. Let's say we hand you the power to say this person was at fault. And again, we're not condemning anybody at all because obviously all the facts haven't come out yet. The video itself was kind of edited as far as the one that was released by the police. Somebody else came out with the full video before. It even shows, I believe his name is, his last name is Coach Cushman is the name, the guy's name. I think his first name is Scott. I don't remember off the top of my head. But it shows him slapping the fighter in the corner, trying to like wake him up a little bit before the start of the next round. And that makes him look really bad. And the stuff that Rose has said, it makes him look bad. Makes everybody there look bad. And Pat Barry as well. Pat Barry, who might be the nicest person in MMA, look, if Brock Lesnar has your number and he likes you, and after you get knocked out at Glory, he calls you and says, "Hey, buddy, can you just stop, please? It's such a you're a really nice fucking guy." And hell, I don't know Pat Barry, but just the shit that you see on YouTube and on TV, he seems like a really cool guy. So when a guy like that comes out and speaks against you, that has to carry a lot of weight. So let's say we give you the power to say, okay, maybe not definitely say, okay, this person's at fault, but we need to look into this person to find out if their negligent behavior had anything to do with his death. Who would you be looking at? The ref, Duke Rufus, Cushman, the doctors? Who would you, in your opinion, be looking at to at least be like, okay, did they have a role in this?
I'd have to say the doctors and whoever did the test on him to even say he can physically fight, because obviously there was something wrong with him before the fight that happened during the fight that caused the death. Like, I haven't read exactly what was the cause of death, but it has to be the doctor's fault. It's not Duke. It's not anyone else. It has to be the doctor's fault. It's not the ref. But it is disrespectful for what's going on. But I would blame the doctors first in point.
Yeah, no, and I believe the doctor was one of those testosterone replacement guys, which is really weird. I mean, yeah, maybe you got that doctor, whatever, but it's almost like if you get a PhD in something else and you're a doctor or something, and you go to like a family dinner with like a long lost aunt, and she goes, "Oh, you're a doctor. You're your kid's doctor?" No, I'm like, I got a doctor in like education. I'm just a doctor, whatever, you know. It's close to that in my opinion. But anyway, so Justin, what does this do in your opinion for the image of MMA, for a growing sport? I mean, we're talking boxing. You clearly take a lot more damage in boxing. We've had plenty of deaths in boxing. I'm sure people have died just from looking Mike Tyson in the eye before. That shit was scary just for me watching on TV. What do you think this does for the image of MMA for a sport that's it's busting its ass off to try to be a mainstream sport?
Well, it sure doesn't help. That's for sure.
No.
If it was a camp, that was just starting and nobody really, there's a few guys coming here and there and they have a few black belts. Some of those lower camps and something happened, or it was a lower promotion. I mean, sure, it'd probably hit the news and we'd still hear about it, but it'd be one of those bigger camps like AKA or the Black Zillions or something like that. They're like, oh, it wasn't from that camp. It wasn't from where the top guys are coming from. This is from a UFC champions camp. I mean, this isn't Bellator. This isn't WSOF. This isn't some rinky-dink promotion. This is the UFC. This is Anthony Pettis, and this is his affiliate. This isn't gonna go away. This doesn't help at all. I mean, Duke Griffiths is gonna have to step up and say something. He's gonna have to make some sort of comment. He's going to have to come out and defend. He's going to have to do something. This isn't just going to blow over, in my opinion.
No, I definitely agree. And, honestly, the one guy everyone looks at to make some kind of statement was when shit like this goes down, and I haven't seen if he had a media scrum after the press conference yesterday, but it's Dana White. It's you're going to be looking at the leadership of the biggest promotion on the planet to make some sort of statement on that as well, because we know Dana White, when one of his fighters gets hurt, he'll say something about their camp. When John Jones got hurt, he was like, "Why the fuck is Alistair Overeem, sparring with John Jones? That's stupid." And he was also talking about someone else, the Venezuelan chick, Juliana Pena, when she blew her knee out. And that was a huge thing that blew up.
Huge.
Right? Yeah, it was a big thing and blew up. And, I mean, Dana White was condemning the shit out of her gym, saying, oh, you should go train, you should shut it down, all that stuff. So, I mean, as usual, Dana White has to say something. I believe he'll say something. I'm going to be very curious to see what he says, because it's a very sensitive issue. And it's a kickboxing event, but it is a martial art that people do practice in MMA and UFC. And it does involve a UFC, champion especially. So, if I'm Dana White, I'm kind of looking over like, is Anthony Pettis going to get hurt again? There's always that joke of something. I always say it. Someone bubble wrap Anthony Davis. I always say, whenever anyone gets hurt, anytime I hear of an injury, I immediately go, someone please bubble wrap Anthony Pettis right the fuck now. Don't let that guy go anywhere. Bubble wrap him, tape him to the wall, feed him spoons of whatever the fuck he eats, but do not let him walk anywhere, because he's going to be that next one. It's like, it's I don't know, but it's I mean, damn, man. I hate seeing shit like that happen, especially when someone's dying. And it's going to be really weird to see, I guess, do a gym that big, right? Because everyone's going to be answering questions about it. I promise you that. Every fighter from today, yesterday, whatever on, every fighter's going to be asked about, what does your camp do? Cain Velasquez is going to have to answer that question. Especially the injured fighter's going to have to answer that question. So, I mean, we're gonna have to. It's gonna be interesting to see what ends up happening with that. So, any last points on this, Fred?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a whole major topic altogether too, is the injury thing. Just how MMA camps are ran in general, or MMA gyms. I mean, the fucking injury thing is completely out of control in general, beyond these gyms trying to run their own little rink-a-dink promotion and shit like that. Just, you know, fighters need to find a way to train a little smarter and not be injured as much. I think guys like Anthony Pettis, you know, there's this big issue right now with the UFC not building new stars. You know, all the Zuffa haters like to go, well, they're not building no new stars. Motherfuckers are hurt, Jack. Anthony Pettis and Cain Velasquez are bona fide motherfucking stars. But if the fucking dudes fight once every millennium, you can't really build nothing on that, man. They got to stay healthy, and they're always fucking hurt. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just dumb luck. I mean, Jones said he was just wrestling with Alistair Overeem. Dana White thought that was a fucking stupid idea. Maybe it was, but had he not got hurt and he got the wrestling training he needed, he looks like the genius for having Overeem there to train with, you know? So, who the fuck knows? It's probably just some sweet line right in the middle, man, where you don't go as hard, but these guys got to train hard to be the best, obviously. So, you know.
Yeah, and you know, and these fighters, they're not. It's not like they got employee benefits, really. I believe they're all contractors. So, you know, they gotta look out for themselves. And so you have guys like, I mean, guys that don't fight as often, and kind of Dana White gets pissed at that, which is weird. So, anything else you got on this, Nick?
No, I just swear if Anderson or Diaz gets hurt before their fight, I'm gonna flip shit. I'm just saying.
And look, Nick Diaz don't get hurt. Nick Diaz is always moving, okay? And it might have something to do with the weed. Maybe the weed has something that protects joints and fucking tendons and shit. If that science comes out, I'm gonna be a pothead real fast. Cause I
give Anthony Pettis that shit too.
Someone get the bong over to Anthony Pettis. So yeah, we'll see. What about you, Justin? Anything else on this?
I'm good, man. I might be able to bring it up. I'm actually going to be covering the UFC event in Austin live. I'm going to be in Austin for that event. So I might be able to, if I can, ask Dana White about that and if he scrums there.
Hopefully, I mean, he should. I mean, it's not like he's in Brazil. That guy never goes to Brazil. So, you know, everyone always complains about that.
A lot, so.
Yeah. All right. And, all right. So, yeah, let's, you know, rest in peace, Dennis Munson Jr. Hopefully, you know, they get some kind of answers for his family, if anybody else, or if anything else, just get some answers for his family. And you know, big ups to Rosa Majunas and Pat Barry and everyone else that came out and said something. It's definitely just the beginning. This is gonna go on for a while, especially with them and media being all over it. So, all right, so let's move on to the next thing here. What was it? I think it was yesterday. Was the Time Is Now, that press conference? Did you guys all catch that?
Yeah, most of it.
All right. Okay, so it was weird because if anyone that works for a media outlet, like I used to work for a newspaper down in Tucson, and they used to send me out to a few different things here and there to cover. But if you're MMA outlet, sometimes you'll pay for someone to fly out to a press conference, especially when the UFC goes, we're making a huge announcement. The time is now. Don't fucking forget. Save the date. All that shit. Like someone's getting married on stage and shit. And you show up, they bring out the fighters, Nick Diaz, Ronda Rousey, Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva, Vitor Belfort, John Jones, Daniel Cormier, a bunch of other people. Dennis Siebert was there for some reason. I don't understand that one. Conor McGregor. Anyway, so they parade all these guys out, put them on the stage. Ken Zingano was there too. Everyone's got their own microphone, a little fucking bottle of water. John Jones comes out with a fucking cup of tea, whatever that fucking was. Okay? And then Dana White comes out and says, we're here. What's up? And of course, the first question is, what's the big announcement? And Dana White comes out and says, well, we didn't get it done in time for this shit. It's still in the works. We didn't get it done in time for this. So next question, basically. So it was a glorified pre-fight press conference for every single one of those fighters. And I got to say I loved it for the fact that Nick Diaz took over the fucking show near the end. And unknowingly, first of all, Nick Diaz, I don't think he knows what the hell's going on 99% of the time. And good on him because it was entertaining as hell. But, so it was a weird thing. There was no announcement. You could tell some of the media was kind of upset about it until Nick started talking. And it was just all overall weird. But Fred, what did you think of the press conference, man?
Okay, a few things. A, was there a more pitiful soul there than CB Dalloway? Did anybody ask him anything?
I think he might have answered one question. I felt bad for Ken Zingano because Ken Zingano got one question. And the
At
rest of
least
it was
he
wrong.
deserved the questions. OCB, I felt so bad. Like he was totally just taking one for the team being there. Like, why the fuck am I even here? This is embarrassing. But Nick Diaz definitely did make it. Let me tell you something about Nick Diaz, man. I like Nick Diaz, and I mean that. I don't really mean that in a funny type of way because he's the type of dude that gets caught for smoking pot and DUIs. I like Nick Diaz because he's one of the few people who actually reminds me of a real person. Nick Diaz is so much of a real person that when there's a bunch of cameras and people around, he's the only guy I see on TV that kind of like makes me think that he reacts how I would react. You know, most people you see on TV, and it's like they just get so used to there being a boom mic right there and all these fucking people, and it would freak me out, it seems like. And Nick Diaz seems like he's the one dude that actually kind of, you know, he's finally now starting to get comfortable in crowds. And even still, he gets his words jumbled up, and people always jump all over his ass and call him a moron and shit. But I think he's a real honest dude, actually, man. I think he comes across, you know, a bit brash because he is, but he keeps it real in every sense of the word. And, you know, fucking, he's just, you know, I like that dude, man. He's brash. I like the way he fights, and I like honesty. And he made, like you said, Matt Brown and Tariq Safadine will be fighting in March. I think that was the groundbreaking news that we all got. And listen, I'm from Ohio, and I fuck with Matt Brown, but, you know, nonetheless, we could have fucking did without that. A nice little news slogan would have got that across. So thank God for Conor McGregor and Nick Diaz for fucking keeping that shit alive.
Yeah, for sure. And McGregor himself, he was hilarious too. I mean, anytime McGregor says anything, that's just a soundbite. All right. Like I always say, the one thing I love about Conor McGregor, besides his fighting style, is that 99% of what he says could become a fucking ringtone. Like that could be you getting a text, and you'd be like, "You better tank me right now." Like that shit was fucking gold to me, you know. So yeah, Conor McGregor definitely brought it. Nick Diaz brought it. Those guys are very similar guys to me. I think, you know, not like to me that they're both very honest, and they're just about fighting and about, you know, winning. More Conor McGregor, because Conor McGregor always talks about his visions and how he's gonna be champ and all that. So Nick, what was your favorite part of the press conference?
I gotta say Nick Diaz too. I know you think I hate Nick Diaz. I like Nick Diaz. He's us. He's the real dude sitting there talking, being real. You ask him a question, how did it feel to get punched in the face? He's like, I got punched in the face. It hurt. Shit. What do you want me to say about it? Like, he's a real person. And then also Conor, like always. I just like when every time they ask Conor a question, Ronda Rousey was in front of her, she would turn around and just look. Like, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for some gold. I'm waiting for it. And right when he say it, she would just laugh. I loved it. But John Jones with the T? What the fuck was that? He's just my T. It's just. What the fuck? I don't know. But I gotta say my favorite part of that whole thing, I don't know why, because I just can't wait for that fight, is a DC John Jones thing when John Jones like, and still, and DC's like, and new, and John picks up his mic, he's like, I'm not gonna do it. Fuck this. I'm not gonna do this. I wanted you to do that, man. And then Eddie got me earlier that day. I'd stopped watching the stream, and he said, oh, Jones is on the ground bleeding. Oh no, Nick, get back on the stream. And I just walked into work. I go on my phone. I'm like, oh, and it's this lady just asking a question. I'm like, God damn it. Good job. But
unintentional prank, bro. I had to do it to you because I was thinking, hey, this guy's still pretty young. He might do up on it. So I didn't think it was John jumping on that too, because he fucking messaged out right after. He was like, asshole, I did it too. So
but
yeah,
no, it was a great stream. I liked it. I was hoping for the special announcement, and since I didn't watch the full thing, I thought they announced it at the end, and then I go on Facebook and I see this UFC rewards thing, and I'm like, oh, it was that the announcement, like rewards and that wasn't it? Oh, fuck it, I don't care what then. But I don't know. It was good. It was a pre-fight presser for all the fights coming up, so it was decent.
Yeah, as an update here, I believe Dana White came out and said that they'll have something. That big announcement will be made in 2 weeks, apparently. So it was kind of like, the time is now to write on your calendar. The time is in 2 weeks, motherfuckers. That's what's gonna happen. So yeah, I mean, I gotta say that as far as the media goes, some of them had to be pretty pissed, because you had some people there that seemed like they were from out of the country. You had some people asking questions in Spanish. people, a couple people in Portuguese, I believe. So yeah, it's got to be really weird for them. But yeah, the other thing, what was the other thing? That Cormier Jones thing was awesome because Cormier was like, I'm not gonna let you have that last word. I gotta have it. And you know, it was going back and forth until John Jones kind of like, I'm not gonna win this. And that's one thing I like about PC. In his fighting, in his personality, everything about him is nonstop. You're not winning. I'm gonna keep going until I get this. So, what about you, Justin? Man, what do you think of the press conference there?
Well, I kind of thought the basis of it was kind of pointless. You know, it was just kind of some superstars getting together and practically bullshitting the whole time. But I mean, what is this? You put out dates. You don't give venues. You don't give fights. You don't give this. I mean, all it is just a whole year of dates. I could give a shit because, I mean, the UFC is having events almost every weekend now, and they do their little thing where they skip a week after this or a week after that. I mean, I talked to a few of the media guys, and they weren't happy about it. You know, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. You know, what was it, like a vacation time? You go down there and you get to sit there and listen to some superstars talk for, 30, 45 minutes to maybe a little bit longer than that. But it's the things that I noticed that I thought were kind of funny. When I saw Alexander Gustafsson and Conor McGregor, I mean, they go into the same stylist or what? I mean, they both got the same slick and they got the beard going on. I'm kind of, thinking they got the same suave or something going on there. And then when you look at Nick Diaz and Anderson Silva, I mean, am I the only one that can sit here and say that they can see the distinct size difference between the two?
Yeah, it looks really, really weird. I mean, when they faced off at the end of it, they were doing the face-off or whatever. I mean, you could tell that Nick Diaz is substantially smaller. Like, it's gonna be weird to see that fight, man.
And then one more, I was half expecting Conor McGregor to make another balls on someone's forehead joke when he started off with NSFW. Because he towered over Siver, and Siver's sitting there in his leather jacket. I was just waiting for McGregor to say something smart, just waiting for it.
Yeah, that's the thing about McGregor. That guy's always has something to say. That's what I like about McGregor the most. Is he always has something. He does not care, and it's always gold. He's never boring. And so it might be that the Irish bravado, I guess, or just his personality. But yeah, that guy's awesome. The other thing I want to say about the press conference too is besides Chris Weidman's hair is weird. Anyone notice that shit? Like, it's like Chris Weidman used to be the All-American. I just want to wrestle and fight people, and all of a sudden he got a stylist and shit. Like, everyone up there looks sharp. Oh, and then everyone shows up dressed up, fucking groomed, clean, sparkly. You could almost smell the perfume through the fucking screen. And then Dana White shows up in fucking jeans and a t-shirt. What kind of shit is that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, you're the president of the organization, dude. Your fighters look better than you. What are you doing? So, but that just, that just goes into the Dana White's personality. That guy just does not give a shit what you think of him. Yeah, does not care what you think of him. So that might be just part of the thing I like about Dana White. A lot of people hate Dana White. I'm a fan, just for the fact that guy he's another one of those honest guys. He'll tell you what he thinks. He'll tell you fuck you to your face. He does not give a shit. So that's what's great about him. But I love the questions that Ronda Rousey got, because at some point she kind of got like. I mean, they were asking her questions, and then she kind of got a little, her ego kind of like raised up during the press conference, and all she was saying is she's gonna beat up Cat Zingano. And Cat Zingano, poor Cat Zingano's on the other side of the table, not answering the damn question. She's just sitting there going, "All right, bitch. All right, I'll see you in a few months, motherfucker." All right. So let's talk about this. Out of all the fights on stage, all the guys on there, Diaz, Anderson, McGregor, Seaver, Weidman, Belfort, Machida, CB, Dalloway. One fight on the entire table there that you can't wait to see, Fred.
Machida Dalloway.
Seriously though?
Yeah. Hopefully my sarcasm shone through with that. Fuck no. I would have to say DC Jones. I mean, that's probably the most relevant fight. It's probably the biggest fight in the history of the fucking sport, as far as I'm concerned, since the Theodore days. Jones and Cormier are probably the most talented guys in the sport right now, certainly at that weight division. They're both undefeated. Yeah, that fight.
All right, Nick. Well, here's the thing. Nick said this. He goes. I think that Dalloway Machida fight's underrated. And I go, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, you got one guy that's gonna hit. He's gonna throw one punch and then run away the rest of the fight. And then you got another guy that just wants to ground and hump you to decision win. And it's just like, it's a lose-lose there. But, hey, maybe we'll get a surprise. Maybe Stevie Dalloway decided he was going to learn how to strike. So, I mean, he does train with Bader, who's a wrestler, and Aaron Simpson, who's a wrestler. And if you catch my drift, it's a bunch of wrestlers. So
did I miss something? Who the fuck did CB Dalloway beat last? The Fieta guy from Brazil? Like, is that where he's getting all this hype? What the fuck happened to CB? Who'd he beat?
I think he beat someone good, didn't he?
Francis Carmon.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense because Carmon, he had all that hype coming in because he trains over at TriStar.
Yeah, okay, there you go. I knew he had to have beat somebody. Either way, fuck that. Whatever.
I don't know. Hopefully, Machida gets a quick knockout. All right, Nick, what do you think?
Well, let's touch that CB fight. I don't know. It's gonna be. He's obviously Dana White sees something in him if he's gonna put him against Machida and whatever. But I don't know. We won't talk about this. Obviously, my shirt says it all. The fight I'm waiting for is Diaz Anderson because return of two great fighters, the best of all time versus the best Diaz of all time. Like, I can't wait for that fight. I really want to go to it too. I'm trying to get tickets, so I can't wait for that fight. And it's basically me versus Eddie too, because I'm so a fan. He's a Diaz fan, so we're gonna see what the fuck's gonna happen there.
Yeah, you don't believe me, man. Diaz, biggest upset since Chris Weidman upset Anderson Silva, I guess. But anyway, all right, Justin, what fight are you looking forward to?
See, I don't see anybody saying anything about a Tito Ortiz Bonner #2.
UFC 200, let's go.
Nobody wants to watch that? All right. serious fights, I'm going to have to agree with Silva and Diaz. Dude, I mean, if Diaz can bulk up just a little bit and match his size, dude, I love that fight. It's going to be a hell of a fight. I think Anderson's leg kicks can make the difference, but he could be afraid to use that kick, you know. The boxing is going to be interesting. I think Anderson Silva obviously has the power over Diaz, but Diaz can take a punch. We've seen that guy bleed all over the place. He's had to be stopped by doctors. I don't think I can't remember a time I've seen Diaz go out by strikes. I mean, he took a couple from Paul Daly and ended up taking Paul Daly out. So I think that's going to be a hell of a fight. And then it's just not that I don't think it's going to be a good fight, but I think Ronda Rousey coming back from her hand injury, I think that's kind of big. And also, she also touched on some big things in her future. So I'm kind of curious and a little scared to think that Ronda Rousey might have better plans in her future than fighting for the UFC. So I don't know how many times we're going to see her in the cage going in the future.
Yeah. I honestly think if she loses this fight, she's done. I think she's going to quit right after this fight if she loses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ronda Rousey always said, she's destined to retire undefeated. So, and maybe a win against Ken Zingano will do it. Maybe she'll fight a couple more times. I know she used to say she does her career in like 3-year increments or whatever she was calling it. I forgot how much time she said, but yeah, she definitely hinted at that. So we're gonna touch on that in a second. My fight that of course I want to see is Diaz Silva. My thing is this: Diaz took for the first time in his career took a nice long break. Now he's a cardio guy. He's a guy that's going to 50% punch the whole time, and then finally when your gas tank runs out, he's going 100% on strikes trying to knock you out. This is a guy that beat Paul Daly. He finished Robbie Lawler. He did all this shit. So definitely the fight that I'm looking forward to is that one. Number 2 would have to be Jones Cormier because I mean, come on, man. Like those guys legit. You know for sure they don't like each other. Once you saw that ESPN, I think it was an ESPN or a Fox Sports 1 interview where the camera kept filming. And you saw who the real John Jones is, and Cormier called him out on it. You know they don't like each other. It's going to be a great fight to watch. But let's touch on Ronda Rousey. I mean, you could pretty much legitimately, you could say that. In fact, I'll say it. I think she's the number 1 of all time in women's MMA. I don't think anyone else has done what she's done. I mean, you could bring up Cyborg, but even Cyborg's gotten busted for roiding up and all that. So, I mean, I think Ronda will likely go down as the best female fighter of all time. But definitely what she said at the press conference was a little troubling for a lot of fans, thinking like, oh, is she done? She's going to have some decisions to make. What decisions she's going to make? Whether to take a break, the way Gina Carano said she was taking a break and just never came back. Or, she's going to go do movies, career change, what's she going to do? I mean, I know. What do you think, Fred?
I don't know, man. I think it'll probably all kind of just depends on how her career plays out. Also, I think her background in judo and the Olympics is a little bit different than Gina Carano. The Olympics takes a different caliber of athlete, and I think that one thing Rhonda did say at the press conference that was telling too is that she understands that all of this movie shit goes away if she's not the undefeated, baddest woman ever. As far as her being the best, greatest women's champion ever, by a long shot. Whether Cyborg could beat her up in a fight is debatable, but as far as achievements go and just, shifting the game by a long shot, Ronda Rousey has, completely changed the complete landscape. I mean, she literally made it possible for all of this. Dana White's even said that. He was quoted as saying they would never do women's MMA, and this woman single-handedly turned all that around. Not only did she turn it around, but she made it worth their while. I would say all of us are big Ronda Rousey fans, right? Like when she fights, it's got a Mike Tyson vibe in the air, and that's fucking awesome. Some people hate the fast finishes. I'm not one of them motherfuckers. I love that shit. When a fight starts and it's so electric that you could stop it right then, I love the old Tyson fights, man. I love that shit. I think that brings a certain type of excitement that other fights don't have when somebody's that dangerous. So, whether she sticks around or not is really hard to say, but I think that her strong background in like martial arts and Olympics and that shit would probably keep her competing. And I think a loss might even fire her up maybe. She's never had a loss before, so it's really hard to say how that would affect her, whether she would just say fuck it and go do movies or whether she would become a maniac and want that belt back and want to just go on a tear destroying bitches for the next 5 years. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Ronda Rousey is multi-talented, brought everything up almost herself. I mean, I even think Invicta certainly, got something from that because everyone's like, oh, well, if she can do it, let's see who else can do it. So definitely, Crossbones MMA's own John Galloway chiming in here. First of all, the fight he's excited for is Jones Cormier. He believes Ronda Rousey's gone after this fight, and that Ronda's an actress now, and I'm kind of leaning that way as well. Because why would you want to get punched in the face, for a living? If you could retire undefeated, why are you gonna punch in the face for a living when you can look hot and get on a screen, and get paid millions upon millions to appear on a movie? So, yeah, it's definitely something to look into look ahead to, I guess. And I mean, maybe she is gone after this fight. I don't think this I used to think this Cyborg Ronda Rousey fight would definitely go down. I don't think it's going to anymore, just for the fact that Cyborg just pulled out of a fight at 135. Everyone's like, oh, it's an injury, it's an injury. I believe it's because she couldn't make weight and she figured it out. She was like, ah, shit, I better do something. And then who else is gonna be there anyway? But one more point on that, the Mike Tyson thing. You remember when Tyson, his opponents would walk towards the ring, their face. You can see the fear in their face. They had that, oh shit, what am I doing look. Every chick that Ronda Rousey has fought has the exact face. Miesha Tate, Alexis Davis certainly had. Alexis Davis looked like she was going to cry. All right. Miesha Tate, the second time, walked out to the Katy Perry song, the Hear Me Roar song. And she was coming out like, I need someone to lie to me, tell me I can do this shit because I don't think I can. This is horse shit. So definitely something, it's something that she has that Mike Tyson-esque. If she retires after this fight, it's gonna suck. I won't be happy about it, but I can understand it, And definitely you'll have that Gina Carano-ish vibe to her. With will she ever come back? If she comes back, will she be good? It's to be seen. But Nick, what do you think of possibility of Ronda Rousey retiring after this fight?
I think either way, win or lose, it's gonna happen. Maybe not after this fight, but one more fight. I think she's going to be done and go on to doing the actress. Now, I was a huge Gina Carano fan. I love Gina Carano. She was the top of MMA for me at the time. And then when she disappeared, I was all pissed off when she lost to Cyborg. But then Ronda Rousey came on, like everyone else, she grew on us. She's that force to be reckoned with. She's that beautiful woman that can kick your ass too. And every man in the world is scared of that chick. And I don't know. I think she's done. She's gonna retire. She's gonna go on, be the actress, do all these award shows, be a host and of all this stuff. And do you guys think that she'll be a part of the UFC still, be like an ambassador? Do you think she'll commentate? What do you guys think about that?
I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think for that stuff to happen, it'll have to be like a few years removed from the UFC. I don't think she would retire and then next week call the fights or whatever, or call the women's fights. I think if Ronda Rousey leaves the UFC, she's gonna step away from MMA as a whole for a while. Go do movies, TV, whatever she's gonna do. I mean, Ronda Rousey's she's the name right now. A lot of people disagree, but she is the face of the UFC. Anytime you hear UFC, you think Ronda Rousey. You really do. So she's got the whole package: attractive, super talented, super popular, personality that everybody wants in a girl. And when she's down with the Diaz brothers, I'm cool with her too. So it's all good.
Well, look at the Metro commercial that they showed this weekend with her and Kane.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching with my girlfriend. She's like, "Who the hell's that big dude? And why is she with Ronda Rousey?" I'm like, "That's Cain Velasquez. This is a heavyweight champion. He's the baddest man on the fucking planet right now." But no one knows him. They know Ronda Rousey. It's
exactly, and that's one of the reasons why she might step away. But no, Justin, do you see her stepping away? Justin, you hear me?
Oh yeah, I hear you. Sorry about that.
That's all good. All right. So do you see Ronda Rousey stepping away after this fight?
Well, I could, but there's just something about Ronda Rousey. She's the truth. I think she's built for mixed martial arts. I mean, we've all heard the stories of her waking up to her mom arm-barring her,
Oh, yeah.
Arm-bar at the young age, the ripe age of years old, or maybe a little bit older than that. But it's just in her blood. It's in her nature. She's competitive. I mean, her trainer that she has wouldn't let her train with him until she proved herself. She wasn't even allowed in the MMA class until she worked her way up. I mean, it's just in her nature. I feel that she may take off for a little bit, may win a fight or two. I think she'll win this. She'll beat Kat Zingano. I love Kat Zingano, but I think she'll get beat. And then I think after that she'll take on a big fight. I don't know who it's going to be, but she'll take that fight, and then we won't see her for a little while. But then I feel the competitive nature will come back to her, and then she'll make a return. I just don't feel that she'll take a complete step away. Maybe a break, maybe like a non-injury GSP for sake. But I just don't see her stepping away. I've talked to her a couple of times, and she loves the sport, man. I think if anything gets to her, it's the media stuff, all the hype outside of it. When it comes to training and fighting, it's her. I mean, that's who she is, and she loves it. So, who knows?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it comes through every time they talk to her about what she's up to. Because if she's doing a movie, she'll be like, oh, she doesn't even have a fight yet, so she'll be focused on movies. But when she gets a fight scheduled, nothing gets in the way at all. She's all about training and getting ready for a fight. So definitely something to I don't know, man. I hope she doesn't leave, but if she does, she's had a hell of a career already. It's already Hall of Fame worthy in my opinion. So definitely, hopefully she continues it and does some other stuff. But John checking in here. First he says, Nick, he believes you're a fan of Gina's body and face, not really her fight skills. He's laughing, don't worry. And then he says when Ronda leaves, there's going to be a huge void in women's MMA. And that's certain. That's for certain. And maybe this is where Dana White is banking on that new Ronda Rousey at the strawweight. Whether it's Rose or Carlos Esparza or whoever else. Maybe that's what he's hoping for, is to get another Ronda Rousey out of it and keep the women's division and the women's presence in the UFC alive. But if Ronda leaves, there will never be another Ronda Rousey. There's no way. I don't even think it's possible. Just like there'll never be another Michael Jordan and so on and so forth. So, yeah, definitely. Anything else you got on this one, Fred?
Nah, I mean, you're right. Like, if Ronda Rousey goes away, that'll definitely be, detrimental almost for the sport. But there's always somebody else coming up, too. Everybody always gets their panties in a bunch about shit like that. But, people were kind of complaining about the lower weight divisions, and somebody like Conor McGregor kind of burst out of nowhere. and changes everything. There's always somebody else coming up somewhere. So
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Nick?
Nah, it's just you're right. There's gonna be no one other like or no one like Ronda Rousey unless we get that strawweight like Rose, like Carla. But I'm pushing for Rose. I'm hoping Rose can do that, but no one's gonna beat Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I hope so as well. And don't worry, Nick. I'm a big fan of Gina's body and face as well. It's amazing. She's a work of art. And then Justin, anything else?
I'm gonna follow you guys with that one. I like Gina's bodies too. Gina's body too. But I'd like to really see Holly Holm. You know, she had to drop out of her fight. I mean, she left legacy on quite a high note. I mean, a head kick to the head, knocking out her opponent. You know, I want to see her fight. You know, she's got the style too. She doesn't have the charisma or the outgoing nature of Ronda Rousey, but she has the skills to fight. So I want to see her do it, and then I think someone in the strawweight division will step up. You know, I think someone in that division will be one of the new leaders of the UFC. I mean, we got a few young women fighting this weekend. We got a few newcomers coming. I think her name is Paige Van Zant.
Yeah,
If I
yeah,
said that right. And
Yep.
Miss Curran are fighting this weekend. I think that's gonna be a good one. You know, two young ladies stepping up. I mean, you still got girls coming, man. You still got talent coming.
Yeah, and then of course, you know, and John points this out right now. There's Angela Magana who thinks she's the next Chael Sonnen of the fucking UFC. If you check her Twitter feed out, she's calling herself, you know, your queen and stuff. And look, she's got to show up and fight so we can see what she can do. But I enjoy that kind of talk. So I mean, we'll see if Angela brings anything. But nah, she's not going to be the new face. But still. You know, you know what? I think she'll be the Chael Sonnen of the women's, and I think that's exactly what she's aiming for because there really isn't one yet. So maybe she'll try to be that. Anyway, so yeah, that was that. So this last weekend was it was almost too much MMA. Almost too much MMA. I was losing my head trying to watch everything. So let's do this way. We'll go by promotion. We'll start with World Series of Fighting 15, which I believe came out of Tampa, Florida this time around. So. All right, Fred. What to you was the biggest thing to come out of that event on Saturday from World Series of Fighting?
Man, like you said, there was so much shit going on Saturday. WSOF was clearly the one that fell by the wayside for me. I just got most of the results afterward and shit. I guess it was almost kind of depressing a little bit, maybe. Yushin Okami kind of bit the dust. We can put him on Dana's tombstone as a used to be. Melvin Gillard talked a bunch of shit, missed weight, lost the fight. You know, made a horrible name for himself. A guy that used to be, you know, very highly ranked in the UFC. So I don't know. WSOF kind of had a bit of a somber tone to me a little bit. Jessica Aguilar looked like she had a strong performance, so that was an upside for the card. And then I guess if you're a Justin Gaethje fan or a David Branch fan, you had a big night with that. But yeah, that was one of the cards too. That, like I said, I didn't watch a whole lot of the fights live. I just kind of seen the results. It was kind of a little surprised with the Okami knockout actually. So that.
Yeah. No, definitely with the Okami fight, I thought it was gonna be like a boring Okami type of fight, and it started off that way, and then ended with kind of like a no fucks given, let's just throw down kind of fight, and then yeah, David Branch getting the win on that one the way he did it was a lot of fun. Nick, what about you? World Series of Fighting 15. What stood out to you?
Well, like Fred said, I just saw the results online, and then I went back after I watched Bellator and UFC and watched some of the finishes. I watched the Aguilar fight. That was a sick fight. And then Gillard, that was a weird fight. Didn't one of the judges score it like 30-27 or something like that? Like it was a split decision. I don't know. It was weird, but Gillard got killed that whole fight. That third round, his leg got torn off basically. So. I don't know what's up for him, and then Okami getting knocked out. It was one of those cards that you DVR and you go watch later and you see what's up. But there was a lot of other good MMA on this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. And no, the thing about Gallard that disappointed me is the fact this isn't the first time or the second time that he's missed weight. I mean, before you can say, well, okay, I messed up, I didn't cut enough weight. This is it's not on purpose, but it seems like he just doesn't give a shit anymore about making weight. And he lost the title shot, and he lost 50% of his purse. So that was incredibly disappointing. So I don't know. I don't see Gallard being, I don't think World Series of Fighting gives him a chance. I don't think they should. They need to send a message to everybody in MMA that you need to make weight if you sign that damn contract or move up and weight. But we'll end up seeing what happens to Gallard. If they give him another fight, I'll be a little surprised, to be honest with you. But Justin, what do you think of WSOF 15?
Man, I gotta say, Melvin Gallard's on my shit list, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a title fight. I mean, how many times did he ask for or just, cry about a title fight in the UFC? And then he gets his title shot outside of the UFC, and the dude doesn't even make weight. He doesn't even make weight for the title fight. And then even before the title fight, he was calling his opponents or the guys in the WSOF B-level fighters, or calling the organization as a whole B-level fighters. And then you go ahead in the cage and you get tooled by one of those B-level fighters.
Yeah.
And then you're probably going to have to go to the hospital and get your leg checked because that B-level fighter just completely tore off your leg. I mean, it's just, if you're going to talk it, I mean, at least walk it, I like fighters like, Conor McGregor, he goes out there, he talks it, he goes out there and he does it, Melvin Gallard, he doesn't do that. He talks sometimes, and then he gets his bell rung, or he gets whooped, like he did against Justin Gaethje. But there is sometimes he comes out and he throws his hammers and he lands his punches, but then he doesn't show up the other times. And then Yushin Okami, I was disappointed in him. I felt the UFC made a bad move cutting him at first, but watching these fights that he's had outside the UFC, I haven't been too impressed. And this last one, getting knocked out by David Branch, was kind of the cherry on top. I just didn't expect that. And I do think Jessica Aguilar is one of the top fighters in her division, or if not the best. So I don't know. It was Jessica Aguilar had a good performance, but the rest of the card it was okay. And Melvin Gallard gets an F.
Yeah, F-level fighter at that point. Yeah, definitely. I think for me it was the Gallard not making weight kind of really killed that card for me. Justin Gaethje leg kicks, every time he landed one, it was like you felt that at home. You're like shit, like it hurt. So yeah, he definitely came up with a good one. But David Branch shut everybody up because everyone was like, oh, Kami's gonna finish. He's gonna take you down and decision your ass and all that shit. So. And Branch kind of giving everyone the "F you, I'm here. You better know who I am now." By taking down a longtime UFC fighter, it is a huge step for him. So, but then the second event, Bellator 131 out of San Diego, California, headliner the circus that was Stephan Bonner and Tito Ortiz. I'm talking about a circus since it was announced. That whole card was, in my opinion, it wasn't doomed. But it was definitely marked a little bit by that, wrestling style promo that they pulled at the previous event when they announced the fight. And they brought them both in. Bonner brought some mascot that no one knew. I mean, how many of us really know who Justin McCulley is? I mean, not a lot of people. In fact, I'm pretty sure I messed up his first name right there. I know it's McCulley, but anyway, yeah, it was really really weird. I'm not a big fan of the promo style, the pro wrestling style promos in MMA at all. Scott Coker's definitely trying some new shit, I'll say that much, trying to get the name out there. And it showed in the ratings. They killed it in the ratings. But I mean, the biggest reason is because they had two, UFC big names in the cage at one time. But and not to mention, like, look, if when you're driving on the highway and it's like stop and go, and then you realize because there's a crash on the side of the road, you're staring at the damn thing, right? So it's almost like the car crash mentality where you just need to see something getting destroyed, some weird shit going on. So yeah, Fred, out of that whole card, a couple things that stood out to you?
Couple things, yeah. Shitload of things stood out on that card. Hey, I'm kind of curious how all you guys felt too. Whenever you guys start talking about this, just in general, the new Bellator, so to speak, the new Scott Coker regime, which obviously the whole Bellator had a different vibe to it. I almost feel indifferent. I don't know how to feel about it. Part of me thought it was kind of cool The screens and all of it, it was it almost had a weird kind of pridey Strike Force type vibe a little bit. But then part of me kind of hated it. I don't like the fucking rappers and all the bullshit kind of annoys the piss out of me a little bit. So the whole general theme of the event was a little weird. I get why they got all the big ratings though. It was their first show and a lot of hype. Tito Ortiz for some reason still has a shitload of fans, obviously. As far as the fights go, the main event was kind of what you expected it to be. A relatively shitty fight with Tito fucking around and pulling out the win. Um, the co-main event, I still don't know what the fuck happened there. Michael Chandler got up and did some weird shit. You know, I really still don't know what happened. I've even seen the interviews with him afterwards, and he still is kind of just like, you know, hey, I seen the replay and looked like maybe I got poked in the eye, but I didn't get poked in the eye. I wasn't calling it off, but it kind of looked like I was calling it off. So, you know, I still don't know what the fuck happened there. Maybe he was disoriented. Maybe he don't know exactly what was going on. Will Brooks is a bad motherfucker. That's to be said. He won the fight. I had a little bit of doubt in him. I kind of thought that Michael Chandler was going to come back and win that fight. And Will Brooks is the better fighter, no doubt about it, and he deserves his credit. And one thing I do want to say is Mr. Joe Schilling was up with my boy. He looked fucking great. Melvin Manhoef is always awesome, too. I knew that fight was going to be dynamite, but I knew that Joe Schilling's MMA record was definitely not indicative of what he was capable of. I knew his striking pedigree was dope, and I had heard that he had been training with Nick Diaz for a long time, and if anything, you're going to pick up a few tricks of trade and how to survive on the ground, you know, being around the Diaz brothers like that. So I think he might actually be interesting long term. You know, if he can keep shoring up a little bit of his wrestling and jiu-jitsu, his striking is perfectly suited for MMA. So that is pretty much what stood out on the card for me. A fun card, all in all things considered.
Yeah. No, definitely. Schilling is one of those guys. I mean, everyone wants to see a stand and bang fight. He's the guy that could definitely bring it. And yeah, just like you said, he picks up that ground game. He'll be a very, very dangerous guy, especially with the Diaz brothers and the way they train cardio and all that. He picks that up. He's gonna be dangerous, dude, in Bellator. John chiming in here. He says Ortiz and Bonner serve his purpose of bringing eyes to other fighters on the card, which is very true. There was 900 viewers at the start of the card, 1.2 million at the beginning of Chandler Brooks, and 1.8 million before Ortiz and Bonner went on. So definitely the UFC guys brought the viewers over. It's the names thing. It has to be the names thing. But we'll talk about that in a second here. Nick, Bellator 131, what'd you think?
Now, this is the card I watched overall because I didn't buy the pay-per-view because I'm trying to save the money because I'm going to Austin this weekend. But this, overall, I liked it. I kind of liked the entrance style that they had. Like Fred said, it was that pride, but then it was that pro wrestling type thing. But I didn't like the rappers coming out with the fighters and shit. It should be strictly the fighters and the cornerman. That's it. I did like the music. I liked the little showing their picture and shit like that. That was cool. But we had Mike Richmond kill a child out there named Nan Fan. We had King Mo be King Mo. And like Fred said, Joe Schilling, he's that kickboxer coming from Glory. He's a Glory champion. He's a kickboxing champion. And he came out and showed what he has, and he killed Manhoef. I didn't even see that knockout coming. I was watching the fight. I was like, this is a good fight. And Manhoef's out. I was like, oh, shit. All right. Can I see that guy fight again, like right now? Let's get it on. But the real main event was Will Brooks versus Michael Chandler. And then it was that weird-ass show with Michael Chandler saying, like Fred said, he got poked in the eye, but I didn't get poked in the eye. Your ass was rocked. Don't lie. Your ass was rocked, and you got finished. And congratulations, you're not the champion. But let's go to the car crash. Tito Ortiz, Stephan Bonner. Now, beginning of the fight was decent. It's whatever. Stephan Bonner walking to the cage, though, you can tell by the look on his face. He's like, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm too fucking old for this shit. Why am I even here? Mm-hmm. And then even at the end, well, you have Tito pushing him at the end of the bell, pushing him at the end of the fight, throwing water at him, talking shit to him. I think Tito got fined for that shit, too. But And then he's like, "Oh, let's do it again. Let's do it again. We'll do it next time, next month. Let's do it again." And Stefan's like, "I don't want to do that shit again." Yeah, you notice that. You're done, bro. You're done. It was a train. It was a train crash, car crash. It was fucking stupid. But Tito got the win. Let's see him get wrecked by someone else. See
I think Kimo was calling him out after that shit. So he was like, "Oh, bring on Tito." Kimo and Tito. I don't know. It's not gonna have the same amount of, as far as numbers go and viewers go, to Bellator, but it did it did do what it was supposed to do. It did bring eyes over. Now, John makes a point here that Bellator benefited from an early finish with the UFC. Once the main event was over, everybody switched over to Bellator. That's a really good point because look, I love watching fights after watching fights. It's always great. If the fight was on UFC Fight Pass, if the UFC card is on UFC Fight Pass, I actually make a habit of going back and rewatching some of the more fun prelims. So I could definitely see some of the people switching over to Bellator. So they probably gained out of that one because the UFC did have a ton of finishes that night, and so it ended a little quicker. Definitely the Tito Ortiz thing was weird with throwing water and pushing him and shit and flicking him off, whatever. He did get fined. And Stephan Bonnar did not look like the usual Stephan Bonnar, and I'm talking physically. He looked way out of shape, and you knew it from the get-go. Like you said, when he was walking the cage, he had that physically. He just looked just almost like he was like, I just kind of got up from the couch and came to fight. It was really weird. It wasn't the usual. But Justin, what do you think of the event?
Well, I was one of those guys who switched over real quick. I was actually watching. The way I had it set up, I was at a friend's house and I was watching Bellator on my computer, and I had the TV, had the pay-per-view. We bought the pay-per-view on the TV, and I practically switched over right when I kind of got disappointed. I go from a Werdum knee to the face, knocking out Mark Hunt, to the old man fighting in the cage, kind of dancing around a little bit, and it was disappointing, but I really was impressed with Richmond. I thought his striking was on point. Namfan he had no chance.
No.
To be honest. Schilling is the man. I love that guy. I've watched him in Glory. He's a monster. If he can translate to MMA, he could be a good star for Bellator to build off of. He's got the striking to do it. And man, I still think Melvin Manhoef I think he's still waking up, You got planted. That boy got dropped and he went to sleep quick. That was a pretty devastating KO right there. And then Chandler, honestly, when I saw him waving I thought he was calling the fight off. I don't know exactly what he was doing. I was confused just like everybody else, but I thought he was calling it off. But overall, I like the ring entrance music, or I like the whole little entrance that they did. I didn't like the rappers. And I still hate Mo Law's little umbrella that he brings to the cage.
Yeah, that's always weird.
I don't get that. Because he doesn't do anything in the cage that really thrills me. So I don't know why. And maybe that's what he makes up for with his umbrella and his outside antics. Because of his inside cage is just it's very blah until something actually happens. That fight was pretty boring to me. But overall, it wasn't too bad, but I am excited for their England card that they introduced. I forgot where it's going, but I'm a huge fan of Liam McGeary. I think he could probably be another star they could build off of. They have a pretty young. Besides the UFC carryovers that they have, they do have some fighters they can really build off of. Like Michael Page is one of them. I think Liam McGeary could be one of those guys. And I think, you got Richmond. And then if Joe Schilling keeps doing it, I think you can build off Joe Schilling, too. They got some guys that, they can build up, too.
Yeah, I think that's one of Scott Coker's deals here. He's trying to create fighters, stars out of Bellator, so so we can stop saying, they're only doing good because they got UFC guys on there. Right now, that's all they got as far as, getting big names over there is UFC guys because it's been around. Or it's a bigger name, and everyone's watched the UFC fight at some point. So Bellator definitely, tries to benefit from that. So yeah, definitely, I think Bellator's on the come up now. Here's my thing on the on all the flashiness and stuff to going to the cage. I don't mind it at all. But you know how they're paying for that shit, right? They started firing people left and right fucking the last couple of days. They lost they let go of one of their PR guys not too long. You know, I think today or yesterday put up a tweet saying that you know, they're parting ways when he's moving on. So a lot of changes going on in Bellator, and I mean they're almost, it almost looks like they're cleaning house a little bit. So we'll have to see what those changes are and how they affect the ultimate product, because ultimately that's what we care about is the fights. But definitely the presentation, they're trying to improve graphics, everything. The walk to the cage, everything's trying to be on the come up on that one. So all right, so let's get to what was pretty much like the card of the night, in my opinion, the best card of the night. UFC 180. A lot of finishes. A lot of I believe we met quite a bit of new stars out of that card. In the first event, UFC event in Mexico, I believe was a huge success. But Fred, what did you think of the whole card? What was your a few things that you thought were the best out of that?
Yeah, man, it was a really fun card. Obviously, the first event in Mexico, big deal. I watched the Ultimate Fighter Latino America, so I was really invested in the guys who were going to win that show. I think Yair Rodriguez is a star. He's obviously a star in Mexico already. Like, you know, that's the thing too, man. I think especially in like North America and America, we be hating on the international toughs and the international like MMA scenes in general. We're very snobby about that shit, man. And I don't think that we get it, like when they say that shit's not for us. Like, somebody was even making that point today, saying that like most of the North American fans didn't know who those dudes were. I mean, even like major like sports MMA journalists didn't watch that show and had no idea who these guys were until that night. But when they walked out in the arena, they got massive fucking ovations because Mexico in general was watching that show and was invested and did give a fuck. So, you know, I thought that was cool. That was big, and it was fun watching those guys win. And I think that shit's kind of cool, man, the inaugural kind of champions for tough Mexico and shit. That shit's tight to me. It's a feel-good story, and it could be the beginning of a big thing down there. As far as the main card went, I thought that Kelvin Gastelum was fucking badass. And I was one of the dudes that kind of was on the fence about him, his whole Mexican heritage and his fighting style in general. I knew he was a tough guy, but I kind of underestimated him, I think, and he fucking looked dynamite, man. That transition was tight. I was super impressed with him, man. He definitely sold me, and I am totally on the bandwagon with him and being a top contender and ready to get a really big fight in the UFC. As far as the main event went, what can you say, man? Hunt actually did a lot better than I thought he would do. With all the things stacked against him, it sounded like he was having some major shit going on in his personal life before the fight. He took the fight on really short notice, fucking at high altitude. He had a great first round. The way the fight ended was a little odd. Looked like he just kind of fell right into that knee. But you got to give credit where credit's due. Verdum has turned his striking around in a major way. And the thing I like about Verdum is he's not extremely safe with it. Fucking flying knee, right? He's a heavyweight. I mean, he had to really kind of throw the fucks to the wind a little bit to even throw that strike, especially against a seasoned striker like Mark Hunt. You know, Arlovsky got cute with that one time, and Fedor slept him for it. So it's not like it's a high fucking velocity fucking move that you're always going to land, man. So Verdum deserves this credit, and the right guy won, I think. You know, I think a lot of people would have liked to see Mark Hunt win, but Verdum's the best guy for the job, and Kane Verdum is the fight that we need to see to find out who the best heavyweight in the world is. But it was a super fun card, and the best card of the night for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And there was a few things that happened during the night, but to end the show, we're gonna talk about a few weird things that happened. So we'll hold off on those because they were freaking hilarious, and one of them was gross as shit. Actually, both of them were gross as shit. Anyway, yeah. So but definitely the Mexican fighters showed up. The Mexican people showed up to watch them for sure. Team Velasquez showed why they won almost all their fights. So and big ups to the other Latin American fighters. Even Guido Canetti it looked like he had that fight for a little bit, and then boom, it was over. That's it. He didn't even know what the hell was going on at that point. So definitely a fun card. Nick, what stood out to you?
Well, like I said, I didn't get to watch it, but I was getting updates from you actually, Eddie, while I was watching the Bellator fights. and I know we were going back and forth because I wanted Gastelum to win, and I knew I had a feeling that kid was going to do some good things in that fight, and look what he did. He got a rear naked choke. And I said it on this show last week that Mark Hunt was going to get a second round walk-off knockout, and I was fucking wrong. So that sucks. But from what I saw and what I saw some of the replay that he did show up in that first round. He obviously won that first round. He came out to fight and to get that championship and say that, hey, I'm here, I'm not to be fucked with. And then Verdum throwing that flying knee. That just Verdum is the right champion, and we're gonna get Verdum versus Kane. If we wrap him up in bubble wrap and right now and just let him rest and sit because he is the baddest man on the planet. I don't even think he needs to train for this fight because it's going to be a sick-ass fight, and I think Kane's going to win it. But overall, great night of fights. What I saw the prelims, which we're going to talk about later, which because prelims were some fucking shit. But overall, champion was crowned, and I agree with it.
Yeah, definitely. It was, Verdum showed up, and a lot of people didn't see that fight ending that way. So definitely a fun way to end the fight. And I think Gastelum might have been the star of this entire card. He might have come out being the shining one out of everybody, and he just got booked as a co-main event of UFC 183 against one Tyron Woodley. Because we know Tyron Woodley's been avoiding Hector Lombard like a motherfucker, saying that, oh, you're lower ranked than me or whatever. You're lower ranked than me. Why would I fight you? Gastelum was 11 on Saturday. So there goes that argument, dude. Anyway, John pointed that out that he's been booked for UFC 183. All right, Justin, what do you think of UFC 180?
Dude, it was sick, man. I've been following Verdum for a while. And I just love how he's grown as a fighter. One fight really stands out to me because I'm such a homer for Andrei Arlovski. Is when he fought Arlovski, and all I remember Verdum was doing was he would charge forward, he'd try to slap Arlovski, and then he would sit on his back and try to bait Arlovski into getting into his guard, which everyone knew that was his main weapon. But his striking game was so it was grotesque. It wasn't UFC par. It was bad. And then you see him go and he fights a legend like Fedor and chokes him out. And just from that point on, he's just grown and grown. And then even when he fought Overeem, man, his striking looked a lot better. His knees looked good, even though it didn't come out his way. And then as soon as he came back to the UFC, I mean, he's sitting here knocking guys out. He's beating the crap out of guys like Big Country, and he's beating guys like, he beat the hell out of Mark Hunt. He knocked him out. And then he comes back. I mean, he got dropped twice by Mark Hunt. He got dropped twice with 2 rights. And he comes back, and he was getting tooled on his feet, He wasn't winning. He wasn't getting to the ground. He had him on the ground, and Mark Hunt played coy. He sat there and put his head in his chest and didn't let him work his guard game. He neutralized him there. So Verdum had to fight. He had to go after him. He had to do something crazy, and that the knee came out of nowhere, and it was spectacular. It was awesome. I loved it. Dropped him, and you can't ask anything more. He deserves a title shot. He deserved one before Hunt, and then he just solidified that. But Gastelum is not going to be an easy fight for Woodley. I mean, if Woodley comes in like he looked in his last fight. Well, not in his last fight, but the fight before they get a title shot, he's gonna get whooped. Gastelum's no joke. He can do it all. I mean, obviously we just saw some of his ground game. He could wrap it around and sink the choke in against a top. What Ellenberger was ranked 6th or 7th in the division, maybe even higher, if I'm not mistaken. But Gastelum. And then also to his credit. I mean, I think this is the first time he made weight in his last 2 fights.
And he did it without Mike Dolce, too, because I believe Mike Dolce didn't even bother to answer his calls. That was weird.
Didn't even answer his calls, and he still made weight. He made weight. He made the commitment. He made weight, and it was probably his most impressive performance he's had in the UFC. So, and then I'm not even going to get to the gruesome part, but just from a spectacle, just watching it, I love the way Jessica Ai fought. Her footwork was amazing, and she beat the hell out of Leslie Smith. That was a good fight. Well, for Jessica Ai, it was a good fight, but
Yeah.
I thought it'd be more of a fight with Leslie Smith, but she just outworked her in every way and just provided angles that Smith had no answer for. You know, I thought that was a great prelim fight. And honestly, I thought that should have been on the main card.
Yeah, definitely. I believe the main card was it wasn't a bad booking, but I think it was mishandled. I think Jessica I should have been in the main card, and I think that the both of the tough finales should have been on the main card and make it a 6 fight main card. So, but all in all, it was nice to see those fights for free. Now here's the thing. Let's get to the shitty the shitty part of the whole fucking thing. Well, we'll talk about both things. First of all, so I'm watching the fights. What I like to do on Twitter is play by play. So I'm literally typing a million miles a second, and then the round, one of the rounds end, and I look down and I have a bunch of notifications, literally like 8 of them from a bunch of different people responding, replying to one of my tweets saying, "Is it just me or did Humberto Brown just shit himself?" And you look at the, and the thing is, like, I was like, "Whoa, did I miss that?" And then because I thought I saw something, but it hadn't registered. So I went to a site I always go to for still images, and yeah, you see a stain of brown greenish shit on blue shorts. You know what I mean? And somebody, I don't know if it was MMA Roasted on Twitter or somebody said that Yo Romero just said it was just sweat. And they're like, nah, dude, that's brown greenish shit. That's fucking gross. Like you saw that shit. It was gross. And then and then the other thing, Leslie Smith, almost losing her fucking ear. Credit to her. Look, Jessica Ai's striking is more improved than it was before. I didn't even think that was possible. Footwork is awesome. Head movement perfect. The way she was going left and right, giving Leslie different looks was good. She was still getting hit a bit. Leslie Smith still packed the punch. Ai's head would snap back a little bit every time she got hit, but she brought it and she destroyed the shit out of that ear. That's what happens when you have cauliflower ear. I mean, it's way too easy for that shit to explode, and when it exploded, it exploded. I mean, hit that, and you saw it when it was live. When she hit that punch, you almost missed it if you weren't paying attention, but you just saw a little spray of blood, and I was like, oh, her ear is gone. So definitely two fucking gross ass things. But Fred, which one would you say was worse? Was it Humberto Brown shitting himself, or us seeing an ear almost ripped off someone's head?
What worse for who? Worse for who? I mean, Humberto Brown shitting himself is most certainly worse for him than the fucking lot of us. Leslie Smith getting her ear ripped off sucked for her pretty bad. I would say they were equally disturbing for me. Yoel Romero and Humberto Brown need to get together and share some notes and figure out what they did wrong, and then let the rest of the fighting community know, so as none of us have to suffer through that no more. I don't know what those dudes did wrong, but they shared something in common, and they fucked up majorly along the way. And, listen, the embarrassment of shatting yourself on national TV is worse than anything us keyboard warriors could give them now. So let them hold their embarrassment close to their heart and not do whatever they did again. And as far as Leslie Smith's ear exploding, yeah, cauliflower ear is probably not something people should want to have anymore. I know that some guys kind of think it's cool because they train UFC, bro, and they get their big gnarly ears, but shit's sick, it's gross, and clearly in a fight, it's not really an advantage. If somebody punches you hard enough in it, it explodes and your ear falls off, and in turn, you lose the fight. So maybe ear protectors, the wrestling things should be a little bit more common place in training facilities before that shit gets horrible to where it's going to explode if somebody flicks it.
Yeah, definitely. It was. Damn. For me, definitely the Humberto Brown thing was bad, and forget the worst jokes you can make are about his last name being Brown. He just Brown himself, but at the same time, yeah, the embarrassment of that, it might make you quit fighting a little bit. I mean, he's got to be asking himself like, shit, do I really want to come back? Does he have Yoel Romero sized balls where he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna come back, hell yeah, and then I'm gonna cause some more controversy, fuck it. So yeah. So,
At least Yoel Romero won the fight, though. You know, Humberto Brown got choked out afterwards. That fucking sucks. Like, at least Yoel Romero's like, but I'll kick your fucking ass, huh? How about that?
And then Gabriel Benitez said after the fight that he said, yeah, he actually shit himself when I got him in that nasty guillotine. So he kind of definitely, I don't know, it was bad. But John's chiming in here saying that don't drink the water, Montezuma's revenge, quite possible. And then shitting yourself is worse than getting hurt while fighting. I can absolutely agree with that. All right, Nick, which one was worse to you or for you as the viewer? All right, I mean, I'm sure you've seen that shit on the internet by now, right? Nick? Oh, did Nick freeze?
Yeah, no,
Oh, shit, he froze for a
I
second.
don't know. Someone's freezing.
All right, go ahead. What do you think was worse?
Okay, so I thought you were lying when you said he shit himself. Bottom line. What did I do? I got up to go get some food, and then I had my phone with me, and I saw, oh, Brown shit himself. I'm like, bullshit, you're lying. He's like, no shit, check it out. I'm like, all right, and I looked, I was like, oh fuck, but that has to be the worst thing. Now, Leslie Smith getting her ear popped, I rewound that and watched it multiple times just to see. And I think she was yelling in Spanish, no, it's fine, it doesn't hurt. And I know once the doctor touched her ear and you see her go, yeah, it hurt. Don't fucking lie. It goddamn hurt. So they both suck, but it has to suck to be Brown. You got choked out, you shit yourself, and your last name's Brown. That's 3 strikes, you're out, but you're done. But what about the other fighter? Like, he choked him out and he noticed, oh shit, this guy just shit himself. Do I continue fighting him? What if he like mounts me? If his shit lands on my stomach, like, what? Do I tap out and win the fight? Like, what the fuck? Like, you goddamn, like, I don't know. I gotta say, browning yourself is worse than ripping your ear off. Because ripping your ear off, you were a badass doing it, and you wanted to continue to fight, and she was a monster at that too. So.
Yeah, I think Nick just coined a term. The next time someone shits themselves, they brown themselves. Oh, Nick. All right.
Yeah,
All right. I think your internet connection is fucking up a little bit, but all right. So yeah, definitely browning yourself's pretty bad, but that's gonna be a coined term now. Justin, what do you think of which one was worse out of those two?
Man, John took my line that I was going to use. I was going to ask him if he drank the water before he fought. Man, they're both nasty. I really like how Leslie took it like a champ. You know, she was sitting there trying to fight, and and then she just downplayed it afterwards. I mean, she's a tough chick, man. But for God's sake, would you please do something about it, man? If someone punches that, just drain your ear. What did you expect? It was just gonna fold back together and not piece out, or what? I mean, I don't understand what this cauliflower ear thing is. I'm surprised Randy Couture or some of those other guys never had that happen. I think it happened once before. I don't remember who exactly it was, but I think it's happened before. But shitting yourself though and getting tapped on national TV is pretty bad. I don't know if I'd want to be that guy afterwards, especially with your corner, and you gotta talk to your buds in the training locker room after that. I mean, you're sitting there talking about being choked out, and all of a sudden you start smelling something. You gotta make him go take a shower afterwards. It's just, I didn't notice it. I didn't notice that he did that to himself until afterwards. I was actually I was doing my tweets, and I saw it. I saw numerous tweets about it. I'm like, what did I miss? And I checked it out. I was like, oh no, you didn't. I just shook my head and ignored it, man. I bet that's embarrassing enough. Social media just probably blew up over it, but yeah, I think they both lost on that one. I can't give a favor to either one of them.
Yeah, no, definitely. And John chimes in here saying, yeah, shitting yourself is worse than getting hurt while fighting. So for sure, he thinks the browning thing was bad. And he also says the cauliflower ear usually hardens to almost a cartilage-like substance. Hers must have been fresh and should have been drained. I definitely agree with that. You want to get that drained if you're gonna fight anytime soon, and so you can avoid the stoppage and that way. Yeah, that whole card, out of that whole card, and you know, good thing Verdun finished Hunt the way he did, and Gastelum performed the way he did, because this card could have been known as the one that Brown shit himself on, and we almost lost an ear in. So definitely, it's just one of those things that's going to be in trivia games, MMA trivia games for years to come. So all right, so we'll just talk about real quickly about the card this weekend that Nick will be going to, and I think Justin, you're going to it too, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Frankie Edgar against Cub Swanson. Frankie ranked number 3, Cub number 2. Dana White already came out and said if Swanson wins, he gets a title fight. You know, we all know McGregor don't want to hear that shit, but for sure, if Swanson wins, you know, he is owed basically his title fight. Other fights on the card, I don't know if you guys have seen them. We got Kaelin Karan and Pedro and Zant make their debuts with the UFC, I believe. Yves Edwards is fighting. James Vick's fighting. Luke Barnett, the big slow, the British dude. He's a really talented dude. He just had his first loss his last fight. What else? Who else is on here? Joseph Benavidez against Dustin Ortiz. Throwing down. Brad Pickett's coming back finally. Brad Pickett, you know, for a one-punch guy, he goes to decision a hell of a lot. So kind of weird. Bobby Green, number 7, against Edson Barbosa. That's going to be a fucking fight. That's an awesome co-main. Edson Barbosa, of course, a Brazilian who is a striking just beast. And Bobby Green, who could be, you know, and again, because we're not PC here, I can say this, he could be the Black Nate Diaz. The guy is, you know, says what he says, does what he does, and he can fight. And of course, Cub Swanson against Frankie Edgar. So, all right, in order to not go too crazy longer, because I know some of you guys got to get some sleep soon. Fred, one fight out of that whole card that you think's gonna be the one everyone talks about after the show.
You got to go with the main event, I guess. It's got such big, you know, title implications. It's the biggest fight on the card for sure. And, you know, being a Conor McGregor fan, I'm kind of happy to say that, sadly enough, old Cubby's not going to get the title shot, I don't think. I think that Frankie's going to win this fight. Frankie's a fucking well-versed fighter, and I can't think of the last time. Has Frankie ever been stopped by strikes? He's never been finished by TKO, has he?
No, I don't think he has.
Okay,
So, yeah.
So he doesn't really get knocked out, and I don't see another way that Cub Swanson beats him. I suppose maybe he could outstrike him the whole time, but I can't see a way that he keeps Frankie Edgar off of him the whole time. In a 5-round fight, I think that Frankie Edgar is definitely going to win that fight one way or the other. So I think that's the biggest fight on the card. It should be the funnest, and Cub Swanson could definitely win. He does have that one-punch knockout power, so it's interesting going in, but I just think Frankie's way too well-rounded. And like I said, if he does beat Cub Swanson and then Conor can come through and get the win, you know, as fun as Cub Swanson's rematch with Jose Aldo would be, let's all just be real here. A Conor McGregor fight with Jose Aldo is going to be way bigger, way funner, way more exciting. So, you know, sorry for Cub, but I'm kind of rooting against him so that all plays out for me in the long run.
Yeah, no, McGregor against Aldo would be awesome, but I mean, you're gonna get that. If Cub Swanson loses, you're gonna get that debate. If McGregor could be Seaver, because Seaver, for as much people not giving him enough credit, that guy has the power to stop you, and he's a fucking well-rounded fighter himself, just not at the caliber of McGregor. So McGregor needs to be on the up and up about it, and not look past him. But definitely you're gonna get that debate. If Frankie Edgar beating Cub Swanson deserve a rematch, or does Conor deserve a title shot because he beat Dan Seaver? There's gonna be debate going back and forth on that for a long time.
Got nothing to do with deserve, Jack. I mean, maybe he does deserve it, but he ain't fucking getting it. If he beats Cub, the UFC will be able to play the angle. None of us will care. We'll all be like, sad enough. Cub almost got it, but he didn't. Frankie won the fight. And Frankie's enough of a company man that he'll be like, cool, fair enough. Y'all do your thing. Get your big fight. I'll fight whoever y'all say in the meantime. If Frankie wins this fight, that's definitely the way it's going to go. Got nothing to do with deserve.
Just whatever big money fights was what we want to watch, I guess. So yeah, but definitely. All right, Nick. Out of the whole card, fight that you think will steal the show?
Well, obviously it's going to be the main event: Cub Swanson versus Frankie Edgar. Now, my opinion is if Frankie Edgar wins this and McGregor wins, I don't think McGregor should automatically get a title shot. I think he should fight Frankie for a title shot. Frankie, yeah, he's that person that, oh, I'm gonna get a title shot, I'm gonna lose, blah blah blah, whatever. But I think Edgar versus Frankie would be a sick fight. You have an all amazing wrestler versus an amazing striker. It's the perfect matchup for a title shot, and you could put that as a main fight on Fox like we have this weekend. It'd be the perfect fight. But the fight I'm excited for is Luke Barnett, Roger Narvaez, because he's a hometown boy here. He's one of our local firefighters. He's awesome, and I'm looking forward to seeing that fight. He's coming off a loss of Patrick Cummings. He only had a week notice of that fight, but I was at the gym that he was at when he got that fight, and he was stoked. So I can't wait to see it. That's going to be a sick fight. But this fight that's going to steal the show is going to be Edgar Swanson.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that happening. And yeah, that fight against Patrick Cummins, he almost looked like Roger almost looked like he was gonna have a shot at doing something, and then Patrick Cummins put the hammer down. But yeah, late notice fights are a motherfucker in this business. So yeah. Anyway, Justin, one fight from you is gonna steal the show on this Saturday.
Well, looks wise, it's gonna be Van Zandt and Curran.
For sure.
Both of those are some lookers, for sure. But I mean, it's hard not to look past that main event, man. I mean, it's got huge implications for the UFC. It's Frankie Edgar. I mean, former champion. I mean, maybe he's cool with letting a title shot slide because he's had so many freaking rematches in his career. But I just don't think Cub Swanson can match him. I mean, Frankie Edgar is a very well-rounded fighter. He mixes it up so well. It's hard to dictate what he's going to do. His takedowns are so unpredictable. You don't see him coming. I mean, he pulled him on BJ so easily the last time I saw him fight. His striking is up to par, if not better, than Cub Swanson's. His wrestling's better. I'd like to see Frankie get some more finishes, but I just feel he's going to be the better fighter that night. But I can't say unless he finishes Cub, I don't think he gets a title shot. I think it's going to be Conor. The UFC needs a big card. I mean, it's already been said that their numbers for the whole year were quite lower than they expected. And Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo will sell out a stadium. They will sell out in Europe. They will sell out one of those big soccer stadiums. I mean, it's a given. It's going to happen, and it's more marketable. That's the fight to have if Conor can get past Siver. But I think the Luke Barnett fight's going to be a good one. Benavidez and Ortiz I think that can be a dark horse. I think that could be a good one. I think Ortiz can give Benavidez a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, Benavidez is going to put him out. But there's some pretty good ones on there, man. I'm looking forward to this card. It's gonna start quick with the females, and it's gonna end quick with the featherweights. It's gonna be a good night in Austin.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think yeah, I mean the whole card looks good, and for sure Paige Van Zandt is gonna have her fans there and the creepers on Twitter afterwards. That's gonna see pictures of her fucking feet. So yeah. Anyway,
there's one fight I'm not looking forward to, and that's Jared Roseholt. I hate that guy fight, man. I hate watching that guy fight, but the rest of the card is good. It's cool to me.
Yeah, it seems like when they throw Jared in there, it's like, we need a heavyweight fight. Just put that guy in it. It's kind of what they do. So, all right, for me, the fight's gonna jump out. It's gonna be that lightweight fight in the co-main, Bobby Green against Edson Barbosa. I think both of these guys could use a big, a spectacular win to start, putting their name in there for a possible, at least be considered contenders of some sort. So I believe they're gonna show up and do something crazy and steal the show. Edgar against Swanson, definitely, they're supposed to be the show. They're the reason that people are gonna watch it. The reason that people are gonna go to the fight. But I think Green and Barbosa are gonna find a way to make this just a crazy fight and a very fun fight, and they're gonna steal the show. So that's what we have looking forward to this weekend. So yes, it's gonna be it for Keyboard Warriors episode 2. Appreciate all you guys coming along here. Fred, anything else you want to say?
Nope, that about does it, man. I'm looking forward to the fights. It should be like y'all said, man, a really good event this weekend. So I'm stoked.
Definitely, Nick.
Done. Can't wait to be there. My buddy who actually bought me the tickets is watching the video or watching the show right now. So thank you. He bought them for my birthday, so I really appreciate it.
When's your birthday?
December 22nd. It's early birthday.
It's way early, dude. I'd be making you wait for that shit, and then give you the tickets to an old card. Ha! Just kidding. Now.
Be like, what the fuck?
Oh shit! I got UFC. What the hell? November. Anyway. Yeah, definitely. Justin, anything else?
Not really, man. Just follow my tweets. I'm gonna be cage side, tweeting the thing, and come find me on 6th Street afterwards, because I'm not going home after.
I'll see you there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you guys can find each other. Hook up on Twitter, see what's up. Yeah, definitely. If I ever head down to Austin, I definitely want to go down there because I know they got a fun comedy scene. I'd love to go see fights and stuff, but got responsibilities here at home. And I'm gonna be at UFC on Fox 13 in December, so I can't wait for that. It's gonna be a hell of a weekend because I got tickets to Joe Rogan on the 12th, the night before, and I got tickets to UFC the night after. So that's gonna be like a weekend that I'm gonna remember / not remember because I'm gonna be hammered as shit. So it's gonna be awesome. Thanks everybody for joining us today on Keyboard Wars, presented by CrossBonesMMA.com. Make sure you follow me at Elaw31. Fred's on. Damn, what is your fucking Twitter, dude? I forget it.
Kirby_MMA.
There you go. Nick is Nick X Micro, right?
Yep.
And Justin, what's your Twitter?
J Huffman_GLV.
All right. Make sure you follow everybody here. Everyone always has good shit put out there. So thanks for joining me, guys. You guys all have a good night. Get some sleep, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Later.
So, later, fellas.